Okay, now hello again. This is the bread making session. Uh, a little bit ago we made the dough with 1 kilo of flour, 650 grams of water, and we made sure that the room temperature is at least 65 to 70 degrees, otherwise nothing happens really, or difficultly, or with difficulty I should say. So in the previous video we dealt with all that. So now this is rising. So we had 20 grams of yeast, and then we had 16 grams of salt, and we did the direct method. Basically we just mixed all the ingredients together, and we kneaded it we kneaded it for about, I would say, 5 to 7 minutes maybe, and then we're going to let it rest. So I have my my oven door open just to kind of keep the room, the kitchen, warm. So I'm just going to put it right on the stove here, and with everything off, of course. And then, so now I talked about Poolish. Basically, I'm going to do half of the recipe. So I have a 325 grams of water, cold water. I like to use cold water. I'm going to put it right there. Then, because we're going to do a quick Poolish, so I'm going to use all the yeast, and I have 10 grams of yeast, half of the other one, 10 grams. I'm just, but I'm not going to put it in the water. I'm going to put it in the flour. So I need, which one is my water? Okay. I believe this is my water, 325 grams. That was not, but you know, you see, I am not so sure. So what I'll do is, I want to be sure, I just don't want to take any risk. So I'm just going to zero it, et voila. I'm going to move it to grams, because they're just bigger numbers. And allez. And we'll see if we have 325 grams here. Ah, bah oui, we have 2,520. Okay, 325 grams. So I'm going to put all the water in here. And then basically, I'm going to use only enough water, enough flour. So about, because here we have like half a pound, we have a pound, which is 454 grams, and this is 325. So we need 325 grams of flour. So, and here you can just do it by, until you have this kind of soupy, it's a little more than half. So I think this should just be okay right here. Yeah. To which I'm going to add the flour then. Huh? I'm just going to, the 10 grams of flour. Here we go. And I'm just going to use a spoon just to kind of mix it a little bit. Because this kind of yeast is, it gets mixed with the flour, not the water. Here we go. Why? To be honest, I do not know. And I think I knew at one time, but I forgot. But it's not important, because we know to mix it with flour. I buy about, it comes in a pound block. Here we go. So I'm just going to add it to my 325, because I don't want to spare you the details, as you might have guessed. Okay, here we go. Now I'm just going to mix this little soupy concussion here. Voila. Here we go. And you notice I have not added salt, huh? Yes. Here we go. Yeah. kind of like a little soupy. Well, I don't want to mix it too much, just enough. And this, because I've added all the yeast, it's contingent on time. So I'm just going to do in this, when you put the whole yeast in your dough, there's a 3-hour Poolish, there is a 6-hour Poolish, there is an 8-hour Poolish, and I believe there's a 12-hour Poolish. And obviously 12-hour Poolish, you put just a tiny bit of yeast, because time is going to multiply, yeast is going to multiply. A 6-hour Poolish, you probably put half of the yeast. And then, but you keep the other half for later, of course, huh? And then, so in here I've added it all. So I'm just going to do a 3-hour Poolish. Okay. And by that time, I think our kitchen would have warmed up nicely to about 80, 85, because by that time the bread that we have started earlier will be perhaps out of the oven. So it will be just right. So it does take a little time to make bread because it has to develop. Okay, so I'm just going to cover it and let it, and then here's my salt, which I can add now to my flour. Here we go. And then I'll just keep this flour and I'll just put it right there, because the Poolish isn't going to rise, it's going to bubble, and it's going to kind of have like a concave, and you'll see. Okay, so I'm just going to let this aside. Voila. And wait for the previous dough to come up so I can punch it. Okay, here we go. Alrighty, so looking forward to the next video. Allez.